Welcome to the Health Over Everything podcast, the number one podcast in health and fitness. I am Steven Z.
And I am SoCal Gula. Today, we're going to be talking about 5 things Americans get wrong about health. And stay tuned to the end because I asked people on social media what they thought people get wrong about health, and we're going to share some of those answers. Are you ready to get into it, Steven?
Let's do it.
Let's go. So, the number one thing that people get wrong about health is they misunderstand nutrition. Right? Is that true?
Yep.
Yes, they do. So one thing that they do is they think that calories is all that matters. What do you have to elaborate on that?
I'll say calories are important. Obviously, depending on your goals, if you're trying to lose weight, you have to keep your calories low enough to where you're in a deficit. So in those regards, they matter, but the composition of those calories actually matter too. And you can have fats from like avocados or seeds. Those are healthy fats, or you can get fats from other sources. You could indulge on some ribs. Like ribs are good, but they're super high in fat. Butters, just certain things that are less healthy are going to obviously have a different nutritional value to it. So even for me, like I like to keep my fats on the lower side in the beginning of the day. Like I won't have basically I'll do 2 eggs, 3 egg whites just to keep my fats low because I like to have avocados. I like to have seeds and nuts. So in order for me to be able to fit those things in the macros that I set up for myself, I keep my fats on the lower end in the morning. So definitely matters what you're putting into your body as a fuel source.
Yes, it's nutrition, right? So you could literally eat 7-Eleven, go eat flaming hot Cheetos, and you could have I don't know what else, some ice cream and some flaming hot Cheetos, and you could have 1,800 calories that day of just ice cream and Cheetos, and then you burn 2,500 calories. Well, you're in a 700 calorie deficit, but you have absolutely no nutrition. You're getting no fiber, you're getting no vitamin A, vitamin calcium, any of these macros that you need. You're not getting that. So your body thrives on nutrition. It's a machine. It needs nutrients. And yes, you could have calories deficit, but you could be not having no actual good fuel and nutrients in your body. So that's going to lead to health problems. Yes, you'll be skinny, but are you going to be healthy? Probably not. Right.
Yeah, exactly. And then too, like you're saying, in that example, if you're eating flaming hot Cheetos and ice cream, well, first of all, you probably get the bubble guts. But secondly, that is not going to keep you full for a very long time. So, maybe an hour or 2 hours later, you're going to be looking for something else to eat, which is going to make you less likely to stay in that deficit because you're already looking for something else to eat again, even though you just ate, not that long ago.
Yes. So basically, try to eat nutrients dense foods and healthier foods instead of just junk foods, because in the end of the day, you're going to get more full because you could eat more food. Like you're saying, like candy bars and chips and stuff are very calorie dense. So you don't really eat that much and to get a lot of calories. So if you are in a calorie deficit with junk food and that's all you're eating, you're definitely losing weight, but you are going to be starving and you're going to be living a hell
Yeah.
life. Nobody wants to be starving. Like that's just not a feeling nobody likes.
Yeah, exactly.
Another thing they do is they say that all fats are bad, right? So there's like, oh, I can't eat no fats. They want proteins or carbs or whatever these diets they're on. But
Hmm.
you eat a lot of good fats. Like for one, avocados are good, right?
Yep.
That's a good fat. Why
Yep.
is that a
And
good fat?
fats, well, it has, I think it has like omega threes, not the same that's the same
Yes.
ones that are in fish, but it's omega threes. Um, and I think a lot of people may not understand is that you actually need fats in your diet, both males and females. Back when I was doing my fitness little journey, well, I guess I'm doing the fitness journey again, but probably like 10 years ago when I was more
Okay.
learning about it, I remember hearing girls like having their fats super, super low, and they would start to run into hormonal issues where
Mm.
some girls would stop having their periods, things like that, because they're fat. You need your fats to help regulate your hormones. Guys need it for testosterone, I believe, and if you have it too low, then your body is not running optimally. So it's like you can't think like, oh, I'm just going to eat no fats at all, like because that's not healthy either. You need to have good healthy fats in your diet to help keep the machine functioning as it should.
Wow, I didn't even know about the hormonal issues.
Yeah.
What are some bad fats? I don't like. Is that just like greasy foods and stuff like that?
Yeah, I'd say that like the unsaturated fats. Yeah, just like when you're cooking a big old thing of beef, or I don't think beef's too bad, but for me, I know like pork.
Yeah.
Whenever I've tried to fit like pork or ribs into my diet, I have a hard time keeping my fats low just because they're so packed with fat. Um, and I guess if you're having it every once in a while, it's probably not going to kill you. But if your diet is built around having just fatty stuff all the time, it's probably not good in the long run.
And then also like fats would be like grease, right? Like let's say fries, they're cooked in grease. You know, like eating a nice potato or a yam or a sweet potato is good because that's a nice
Mhm.
whole food. But if you cut it up in fry form and throw it in a bunch of grease, that's a lot of fat in that, right? And
Yeah, because
that's
now
not,
you're consuming all the grease that it was cooked in, basically
yeah.
soaked in and absorbing all the fats from the grease. So
Yeah. So you're not getting, like you're thinking that all fats are bad. Well, not really. Like, yeah, if you're gonna eat greasy fries or greasy chicken, that's gonna be bad. But if you're gonna eat an avocado and some other healthier fats, I don't know what other some other healthier fat foods besides just avocado.
I mainly get my fats, or a lot of them from my avocado and like seeds and nuts.
Oh, okay.
Whenever
Seeds and nuts.
my fats, if I need to at the end of the day, if I need to increase my fat macro, I'll just go to I have cashews. So I'll go to
Mm,
the cashews, just weigh them out, pistachios, just peanuts, any kind of nuts really. I'm sure some of them probably have a different like fat to carb ratio, but I
yeah.
think most fats or most nuts in general are going to have a high fat content. And obviously, some cashews are going to be better than a little order of fries from McDonald's. You're just
Yeah,
getting
definitely.
different nutrients for sure.
Yeah, so not all fats are bad, people. And yeah, that's good because I love avocados and I love seeds and nuts. So another thing they do is they use supplements in replace for whole foods, all right? So I see a lot of people just, some people take 10, 15 different supplements or little vitamins a day. Some people just take a few, like a one a day kind of thing. And I'm just thinking, like, are you really going to get all the nutrients you need off of one little pill? Can they pack all that nutrients in one little pill like that? Or even if you take 10, like, and then sometimes it's, you're taking a pill, but if you ate the actual food, you're not only getting that vitamin, you're getting all the other nutrients that it has in it as well. So a lot of people will just eat a really kind of shitty diet and then get a couple like one a days or some vitamins and be like, oh, there we go. I got all my nutrients for the day.
Yeah, I don't think that's how it works either. Um, I'm sure they do help, but they're not going to replace all the meals and all the nutrients that you should be getting throughout the day. It's a supplement, it's not a replacement.
Yeah, right.
It's meant to supplement, if you're able to get most of your vitamins and minerals in throughout the day, it's going to help you kind of top off on these little ones that you might have missed, but it's not meant to actually, like I said, replace your whole meals. Like you need to be eating relatively clean as
Yeah.
well if you're looking for your health. When I was younger, I never really cared about my health, so I just ate whatever I want. So
Yeah. So yeah. So yeah, definitely supplements and little vitamin pills and stuff will be beneficial to you to add to your diet, but don't make it your number one um, go-to source for nutrition. Like get it from whole
yeah.
foods. That's the way to go. And a lot of Americans want to take the easy route with just, oh, let me pop a pill. But you know, go make the food, eat, go grocery shopping, buy the good shit, eat some of that because that's where the foundation lies, right?
Exactly.
And then another thing they like to do is that they get wrong about nutrition is they detox diets, right? Are good for health. So they detox like by not eating a lot of stuff, like basically just starve themselves. Fasting is good here and there, but your
Yeah.
body and your liver, like they think like if I don't eat a bunch of stuff, like it's going to clean out my body. But your liver and your organs, they do that for you. They do a great job. They're powerful organs, right? So you don't really need to detox. You just kind of need to eat healthier.
Yeah, I've seen people do that, and I guess it's beneficial for initially dropping the weight. But I'm sure you've heard of people doing like the juice cleanse, where I'm
Yeah.
only drinking juice for a week or however long it is. And I think people try to do that to lose weight. And of course, you're probably going to lose weight because you're in probably a huge calorie deficit. But when you go back to living normally, like you're more than likely going to pack that weight back on. Like it's not something that's going to be sustainable for a long period of time. Like you're gonna have to stop it eventually, and if you don't change your habits, you're going to be back to where you were when you started.
Yeah, and it could kind of shock the body as well. And right,
Yeah,
like you want to your body like, and also intermittent fasting is pretty good. Like you could still eat all your normal calories and your normal food for the day and your nutrition, but then you just kind of eat early dinner at like 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, and then you don't eat, or maybe you even eat a little later, 5 or 6, and then you just eat later in the morning. Try to get like a 12-15 hour like fast in is better than just trying to detox for a long period of time, because that's not really going to be beneficial to your body. Like your body, your organs filter out the bad stuff yourself. Just try to get on a nice nutritional diet instead.
yeah, exactly. And I know fasting is supposed to be good for you. There's a lot of benefits to that. So, like you said, if you're a type of person where you like to eat a lot, that's like I think fasting works for those people. So you can eat more in one sitting instead of eating like these small meals throughout the day. If that's like not for you, you want to eat a lot, you want to feel full. I know people that do that, just one huge meal at the end of the day. I don't know if you could fit it all into one. That just seems like a lot of food to be
Yeah.
eating. But maybe start eating around, like you said, around noon or something, and save most of your calories for the end of the day so you can have that big old meal that you like. And if that's your thing, then consistency, that's what's going to be important. That's what's going to work, something that you could stick with to for a long time.
Yep. Excuse me,
Bless you.
sneezing. I felt that one coming for a little bit. Came at the wrong time. But all right, so that's number one thing, misunderstanding nutrition Americans get wrong. Try to really dial in on your nutrition and learn about that, as we'll talk about that more in future episodes to help you guys with that, because it is very important. Nutrition is one of the foundations. But
Yep.
number two, we'll go to what Americans get wrong is over reliance on prescription medications. Now, this is a big one, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I think maybe not even just in America, but I think just in general, we're in this super like, I want to click my fingers and have everything now. I want to order it and have it delivered to my door today in an hour. And I think we're the same way with our fitness. We want to have the quick results fast without doing any of the hard work. Like, take the
Yeah.
miracle pill. You see all the infomercials about the miracle pill or this new gadget that's going to help you lose weight and just lose all your fat and get a six pack. And a lot of those things they just don't work without the
Yeah.
hard work, without the dedication and the consistency. It's like it's not going to happen for you. So to put all your eggs in a basket, like, oh, I'm just going to take this pill, yeah, I don't feel that that is a long-term plan that's going to work, because then you're going to need the pill forever too.
Yeah, exactly. And then the pills have side effects. Like
Yep.
eating healthy doesn't really have that many side effects, or if any or at all, really, unless you have like an upset stomach to a certain food or something. But I
Yeah.
just like the thing about prescription pills is, they're pushed on us so much, and on every TV ad, they have so much money, mainly because people expect instant relief, right? They get a pain and they don't want to switch their lifestyle. They're just thinking like, oh, well, I just get a pill for that. And it's just instant, it'll be instant relief. I'll feel better, but they still have the underlying cause. But like these pharmaceutical companies push and push and push these pills, and it's all over, and you see them on TV. And when you're watching that on TV, first thing you should do is just listen to all the symptoms, right? It is, you get so many different symptoms. I can't even name them all. Sometimes there's like 20 of them in one commercial. You're like, dude, do I really want to save like this one little pain for 20 different risk of symptoms? But it's just because people expect this instant relief and instant, and they don't want to do the hard work. And that's, just like you're saying, going with Americans. And they also want to treat the symptoms instead of the causes a lot, just like you're saying, the laziness and like the quick fix kind of thing. Like they just want to fix the symptoms. Like, oh, my stomach is hurting right now, let me get a pill. My high blood pressure or my diabetes is, I'm getting pre-diabetes, let me just get a pill. instead of doing the long-term work they need to do. And this is why the prescription pill business is so huge, because of, people just trying for the quick, easy fix, right?
Yep. I think it's funny in those commercials too, how when it gets to the side effects, the the voices like sped up, I'll just blur past everything. Try to maybe if I say it fast enough, they won't pick up on everything that I'm saying.
So true.
Yeah, I definitely think we are caught in that instant gratification phase, and I think you just need to, if you're trying to make a lifestyle change, like chances are it's going to be hard because there's going to be the uncomfortability of doing something new and different. But in order to build something that I feel is you're going to have longevity with, like you have to make the hard change. You're going to have to change your habits, and relying on a pill to do all the magic for you, I think you're just setting yourself up for failure or a dependence on the pill. I was like, oh, how am I going to lose weight if I don't have my pill? I'm like, you know, the way we view things is kind of skewed in that aspect.
Yeah, and a lot of people want to avoid lifestyle changes because of how hard it is. Me and you both did lifestyle changes, and it's hard, every day. Like, even it's a lot easier now that we're into it for months and months now, because like they say,
Mhm.
first few weeks you're going to have withdrawal symptoms. It's going to be horrible. Then after a few months, it's going to be a lot easier, but you're still going to, like, if you, especially for me, like I've been eating bad for 40 years. So it's like, yeah, I'm on a health journey now. I'm feeling great, feeling a lot better. But then I go by like a Five Guys and I'm just like, oh man, I remember how much pleasure and how great it was to eat that food. But you got to stick to the mission in your head, saying like, hey, I have underlying causes and I don't want to get on prescription pills, right? Because it's so easier to do that. And another
Yeah.
thing as well is, when you go to the doctors, like me, like there's a thing called white coat syndrome. So like you get freaked out. So when you go to the doctor, you could have nice blood pressure, like good blood pressure, and you go in the doctors, you get freaked out because you're like, oh man, something wrong with me, or like your mind plays tricks on you and your blood pressure could elevate, and the doctor will be like, oh, you need high blood pressure pills because they just checked
Yeah.
it. But you're just freaked out at that one moment. You actually have good blood pressure. So they are quick to prescribe these pills. Doctors are incentivized to give you, like they always say, like, we don't have enough time to sit there and talk about your past, what you've done, what you've ate, your lifestyle, like how you're stressed out, what your sleep schedule is. They don't have that much time with each customer. So they just go in there and the person says like, hey, I'm feeling bad. And they goes, oh, let's take your blood pressure. Let's take your blood work. Oh, well, you have these problems. We got this pill and this pill and this pill. And people are just like, oh, this is a doctor. We are bred through history, just like to always respect authority when we are growing up, right? You respect your teachers, respect the police officers. So then you're like, oh, this guy's a doctor. He's telling me what's right. So a lot of people are just kind of ignorant to the fact that there is other ways to get your nutrition and your health in order without first thing going to a pharmaceutical. And this is what most people need to learn, because this is a huge problem that people do misunderstand in America, that you can fix a lot of your issues and reverse them by lifestyle changes. Not all, maybe you might even need to get on a pill for a little bit if it's, very high. Like if you're in a dangerous situation, you might need some
Yeah.
medication in order to save you. But you can also, don't just use that as a number one thing to fix your life, because there's a root cause under there. Like I just heard a podcast this week of a health care worker. She said the guy was smoking 2 packs of cigarettes a day, drinking 4 Monsters a day, drinking 6 Cokes a day, drinking a sweet tea, and eating nothing but processed foods. And he wasn't taking his insulin, and he was going in there and wondering why he's sick. And I need a pill. And it's like, okay, you could get a pill to mask all those problems, but you need to get those root causes fixed. You need to start drinking water, bro. You need to stop smoking the cigarettes, bro. You need to go to the exercise, get some sun. These are what Americans are getting wrong. They're just like, why do I feel bad? It's like, look what you're putting into your body. You're putting in a cocktail of poison. It's crazy, right?
Yeah, that's insane. I can't imagine that, especially coming from me. Like, all I really drink is water. Sometimes I'll have some tea.
Yep.
So if they drink like 4 Monsters in a day, that just sounds freaking outrageous to
Oh,
me.
I know people that have done it. Like I've seen people that, like, they used to make Monsters that were huge, like big, like almost like half-gallon ones. I think like they were big, and I know people that would drink those, and I'm like, dude, that's like 3 Monsters in one. Like, and they're just like, oh, why they're smoking a cigarette with their big old Monster. And then, like, it doesn't,
You think
like,
it?
when you're young, you can handle that, but eventually,
Yeah.
your body's gonna reject that.
Yeah, you'd think it would almost be common sense that all that stuff is bad for you too, but I don't know. I
It is
guess
addictive.
yeah, maybe it's addictive too. Maybe people, it's like, when you're young, you don't really have all these health problems. You can eat whatever you want. So
Yeah.
maybe that kind of carefree attitude carries into your adulthood. And eventually, I think most adults know that it's like I can't eat like I did when I was 20. If I did that, I'd blow up. I'd be fat as hell. Like
Or you could even feel
you
it like
you're
spicy foods or something. You're like, oh man, now my stomach's all
oh
messed up.
yeah.
Your body
Even
just
like
changes.
Yeah, exactly. Even pizza would give me heartburn now. If I have a
Oh
piece of
yeah.
pizza, I'm like, oh shit. I'm like, what the hell is this? So it's like, of
Hmm.
course, you're not going to be able to continue these bad habits long term and especially into like adulthood. And maybe now that we are older, maybe that's why we are focusing more on our health. Because I know for a fact, if you were to try to tell 20-year-old Steven, I need to eat better and do all this stuff, I'm like, what the hell are you? You're old. Like, I'm
Yeah.
running good right now. I could skate all day forever. Like you
Yeah.
can't tell me what to do. So I can understand it when you're younger why you can have an attitude like that. But as you get
Yeah.
older, like you need to start taking your health more serious and you can't be out partying every weekend, drinking and smoking and expect your health not to be impacted by it.
Yeah, and that's another thing about the young people. Like you were kind of like bred, like grown up on this stuff. Like I was saying, thousands and thousands of years, nobody drank a Coca-Cola before, right? And
Yeah.
now parents think that it's kind of child abuse not to give your kid a soda or some McDonald's. Like, well, I can't do that to my kid. Like, they're gonna be unhappy. All the other kids are eating McDonald's and drinking Coca-Cola. Well, I could make an argument that it's child abuse to feed your kid that, right? Like you're just sitting there poisoning your kid with all this food, like bunch of Coke and ice creams and just processed foods filled with sugar and filled with salt. And then what happens? Yes, they can handle it because their body's brand new. It's a brand new car, a brand new vehicle, right? But then they grow up and then they're just addicted to it. Then it's just like, oh, this is what I just normally do. In their 20s, I
Yeah.
just eat this stuff and drink this stuff. And it's a pattern. And then eventually goes on until you're 40. And then you start getting these diseases. You start getting cancer, high blood pressure, diabetes. And it's like, oh, why am I here? Well, it all goes back from the beginning of the child abuse. I'll just say, like a lot of people might not say that, but you're feeding your kids bad stuff. And I'm pretty, I drank all that stuff and ate that stuff. And it's a standard American diet that leads to standard American diseases. And the
Yeah.
thing is, though, why can't you feed your kid healthy stuff? There's people out there that feed their kids a lot of healthy stuff. And like, if your parents did um, feed you that stuff when you're young and you turn 18 and 19, 20, and you're an adult now and you could feed yourself, and you might say, like we did, like, I ain't going to listen to you, old man. But listen to us now. We're 40. Listen to us now if you're listening to this when you're young. If you do switch your diet up and become healthy and do the right things, even if you don't want to, you don't eat all the bad stuff. When you turn 40, you're going to be in optimal shape. You're going to be far ahead of your peers, right? They're going to be the ones that are
Exactly.
having health problems. They're going to be ones that are overweight, and you're not going to be. You're going to be healthy and like you could live longer. So no matter what, like, yes, you might be able to handle it, but just as a advice and as a warning to young people, get it in your head that if you want to live a nice, young, long, healthy life, it's best to change as soon as possible. I didn't start changing mentally until I was like 30, late 30s, and then really got it dialed in when I turned 40, which is just like 4 or 5 months ago. But now I'm just like, oh, I feel a lot better. I don't have the heartburn. I don't have the gut issues or stuff as much or at all anymore. And I feel a lot better, but I would have much rather been like this for long periods of time and wouldn't have to do this in the first place. But I was ignorant and I was young and just dumb. And I was also raised to on the standard American diet.
Yeah, I like the way you say too. It's kind of stems back from having those patterns that you've built when you were a child. Um, I've always been like big into, Mongolian barbecues, right?
Yeah.
So my mom, when I was younger, used to work at one of those places, and I always remember my dad saying like that he would be the guy like to get all the meats and just pack as much meat on his plate as possible. But my mom, she's Asian,
Yeah.
Taiwanese, she would pack more veggies and stuff on her plate and get a little bit of meat. And it's almost like the two cultures have their
Mm-hmm.
nutrition 100% like backwards, where she was more focused on the different vegetables with a little bit of meat, and my dad would try to pack on as much meat as he could and a little bit of vegetables. And maybe that's why even to this day, like I like to have my veggies. Like
Yeah, me
I
too.
don't like to have like just a big pile of meat. Like I do enjoy the meat, of course, but I do enjoy my vegetables too. Maybe I got like a blend from both of my parents. Um, but even to this day, I like having my broccoli. I like having Brussels sprouts and kale, all that stuff, just to balance out the meal. I think that's important too, is to have a balance in everything, um, and not just to overindulge in one aspect, one or the other.
Yeah, and like there's so much controversy and so much information online. Real quick, like someone said that I have a controversial opinion. I don't think meats are bad for you. And I also have another controversial opinion. I don't think vegetables are bad for you. So that like I've seen people literally say that vegetables are bad for you. And I've seen people say meat are bad for you. It's like it's having a well-balanced diet, doing it right,
Yeah.
eating whole foods. Like, yes, like processed foods are the worst for you. That's what you don't want. You don't want these refined sugars and all that stuff and a bunch of sodium. But yeah, have a little bit of beef, have a little bit of turkey, have a little bit of chicken, have a little bit of broccoli, have a little bit of kale. Eat a nice, well balanced diet, and you'll most likely be okay, right?
Yeah, exactly. I was even reading something recently where it was some sort of broccoli recipe, and people were talking smack about the broccoli, like broccoli's a man-made vegetable, it's not good for you. And I'm not a nutritionist or a scientist, but I just can't imagine broccoli just being bad for you because
Yeah.
it's man-made. Like it seems, it has nutrients in it. Same thing with Brussels sprouts. I guess Brussels sprouts is a man-made vegetable. It's not naturally occurring on Earth, so
Huh, I didn't know that.
that's why that was the argument behind it. Those are man-made, so they're not good for you. But I don't know
Yeah.
how much proof or science is backed into that opinion.
Well, I seen some guy yesterday. He's a medical doctor, MD, and he was saying that, oh, vegetables are probably not the best for you because think about this. He's like, they just sit there in one position. They can't run away. So they got to defend themselves in order for their seeds to hit the ground and grow. So they can't just be eaten. So they made poisons on their leaves and stuff. So if an animal eats them, they're going to get sick and they don't want to eat that vegetable anymore. So he's saying that like kale and stuff has some sort of enzymes or something in it, and that could be bad for you. And I'm thinking like, well, I could use your own logic against you. Like, why wouldn't animals have? They've been around. They don't want to get eaten either. Why wouldn't they
Yeah,
adapt for you to have something bad in them? Like saturated fats could be bad for your cholesterol. Or wouldn't you think that the human body over millions and millions of years can adapt to eating the foods? Because like obviously a deer would run away, but a tree with berries on it and stuff like that would be sitting right there. You could go eat it. So over millions of years, your body adapted to all these foods, especially because we ate a lot of plants back in the day because they didn't run away because they're
yeah,
right there. And what happened? Our body now needs these nutrients from plants. So yes, there's a lot of nutrients in plants that are great for you. And there's a lot of stuff in meats like iron and stuff like that are good for you. And like vegetables and stuff have fiber, right? You can't find that in meat
yeah.
products. So like that's why you need a well-balanced diet. I don't think one or the other is greater than the other, but like people are saying, I just need to go all meat or I just need to go all vegetarian. Maybe a little mix of both, because they all have different minerals, and that also goes by with the supplements too. You could also supplement for the stuff that you are lacking as well.
Yeah, exactly. I've even heard, I know a few people that went on the carnivore diet say they felt good, and then a few people that went vegan say they felt good. But I've also heard the opposite from both extremes too. Like I
Yep.
went on the carnivore diet, felt like shit. I went total vegan, I felt like shit after a while. So I think it's about finding a balance and just finding something that's going to work for you, something you could create a lifestyle change around. Because if you can't make that adjustment and make it a lifestyle, like you're going to go back to those old patterns, those old ways of being that aren't helping you, that aren't getting you anywhere. And you need to have something that you can stick with. Like we keep saying, that consistency, that's going to be your friend in this game. Like you're going to have to be consistent to get results.
Yeah.
I don't really know any other way around that.
Yeah. And everybody's different. Like my roommate, she has a stomach intolerance to beef. So everyone's different. But okay, those are two different things. We got, the first one is misunderstanding nutrition. The second one was over reliance on prescription medications. We kind of went into a little bit extra stuff there. But so the third thing that Americans get wrong about health is that the misconception of what is good for you, right? So people think things are good for you or better for you than other things when technically it's not right? So one thing that you bring up was a glass a day of like a beer a day or a wine a day is good for you. And like you're putting in poison into your body, right? Some people say like,
Mhm.
well, it thins out your blood. Well, there's foods and other things that could help you do that. For one, beet juice, right? I've been drinking beet
Yeah.
juice. It has nitrates in it, which helps your body relax your muscles and relax your arteries, right? This is beet juice. Why would you need to put alcohol in it? And people would say something like, oh, I need a glass of wine. Well, why do you need the alcohol? If you just need the glass of wine for the good effects, get the non-alcoholic wine, right? Like,
Yeah,
why do you
exactly.
need the alcohol? It seems like you're just want to drink and get drunk and you're using it as an excuse because I heard a good quote that says addicts will make any excuse in the world to tell you what they are doing is not bad for them. And that is that's one of the things that Americans get wrong, right? Misconceptions of what's good for you, right?
Yeah. It's funny too. I think it's like alcohol and drinking is so common and so like normally or socially accepted that you always hear those people like, "Oh, I've had a long day. Like, I need a drink." And people don't care. Like, "Oh, yeah, like that makes sense. You've had a long day. You need to have one drink to kind of take the stresses off the day." But if you were to replace that with like meth or something else, like then it has like a stigma around it, like, "Oh, like you're a dirty human being." But I think it's so accepted that people don't really question it anymore. Where like, why do you like? My whole thing was I didn't like feeling like I needed to depend on some sort of outside substance in order for me to feel normal. Like I should be able to manage my emotions and the day-to-day stresses without smoking weed, without having a vape, without having alcohol, without needing something outside of me to make me feel normal. Like I didn't like that. And that was kind of my main reasons for stopping. But yeah, those kind of misconceptions about like, oh, it's okay to have one. Maybe it is okay to have one, but I think long term wise, you're just setting yourself up to be dependent on something outside of yourself in order to get by, or you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I've seen the science where people say one glass a day is beneficial for you. One glass of wine is actually healthy for you. And then I've seen articles that say zero alcohol is what the acceptable limit should be. So depending on what you read, depending on what you believe, like, you're always going to have information, proving both
Yeah.
sides of the story.
And New York Times just came out with one that said that zero alcohol is good for you. They said after years, decades research that they found out no benefits were good from that. And I just think like this, like alcohol is not good for you. It's poison. And if
Yeah.
whatever's in the wine that's making you healthier or better, well, eat the grapes. Go eat some grapes. Like, why do you need the wine or why do you need the alcohol? Like it doesn't help you sleep right. Like it keeps you up if you're drinking it at nighttime because your body's processing all the enzymes and all that. And I just don't think poisoning yourself is ever like a good thing. And like you say, just don't want to be reliant on it. It's just, I
Yeah.
don't drink anymore and I feel better. I think it's actually better than drinking. And like you're obviously catching a buzz. But if you need other ways to de-stress, go ahead. And then there's some other things too, like saying like, okay, smoking vape. That's something people say like, oh, I smoke vape because it's better than smoking cigarettes. I used to smoke cigarettes, but now I smoke vape and vape is better for you. But vapes,
Yeah.
we don't really have, they're relatively new. So we don't have all the data of it actually does. We know cigarettes give you cancer and we know it gives you emphysema and all these other things. But when I was smoking vape and the weed vapes and I didn't really smoke the cigarette vapes too much. I was wheezing more. It was hurting my lungs. Like you could totally tell. Like, so
Yeah.
they saying like, well, it's better. Well, if you're trying to wean yourself off eventually, yeah, maybe switch to vape off of cigarettes and then, or cigars and cigarettes and then go to vape and then get off. But most people are just like saying like, what? It's like not like I'm weaning off. I just want to do vape because it's better, and then they get hooked on that, and then now they're just have no. They're just like, well, since it's better, I'm not going to stop. I'm just going to keep vaping or using hookah or something instead of cigarettes because they don't have the chemicals, but it's still not good for you. It has tobacco and nicotine in it, and you're putting smoke into your lungs. Putting smoke into your lungs. The only thing that's supposed to be going into your lungs is oxygen. So it's like
Yeah.
it's not. It might be better than cigarettes, but it's still probably pretty horrible for you.
Yeah. And that's exactly what I did. Basically, what you're saying is to get myself off smoking cigarettes, I went to the vape. And then after, a while with the vape, and it's like what you said that even with smoking the vape, I would wake up mornings and I would just have like a lot of phlegm, a lot of like mucus in my throat. And it's like your body is obviously that's the signs and symptoms of the vape. Like your body is all in, your lungs are probably all inflamed, and now it's producing all this extra mucus that you shouldn't normally have. You shouldn't wake up and have to cough up all this phlegm, and that shouldn't be thought of as like a normal thing. But that's kind of how I was for a while. Like I'd wake up, I'd have phlegm, cough it up. And even like days where I had like, I'm sure there were days too, especially when I was drinking, where I'd vape like crazy and I'd have like a sore throat from it
Yep.
almost the next morning. And what do I do the next morning? Just start vaping again, and just like damaging your lungs even more. So it's one of those hard kind of habits to kick and get
Yeah.
yourself away from. But that's exactly what I did. I went from smoking cigarettes, then I went to the vape, and then eventually, I got myself off the vape more recently. Like I just decided like replacing one bad thing with another bad thing may although it might be better, like I knew it wasn't healthy for me in the long run. And I was thinking, well, like maybe I'm not going to die from liver cirrhosis, but now I'm going to die from my lungs going out. So like I'm replacing one demon with another one. So I just wanted to quit all the bad stuff altogether to make sure that I could be as healthy as possible and not have any excuses of why I couldn't do it. Like vaping, yeah, it was a hard one to get away from, but
Yeah.
can't think
And
of it as being healthy.
yeah, and those are, you just listed off a bunch of symptoms right there. Like that just alone just shows you that that's not good. And obviously you're not going to get cancer the first day you smoke or the
Yeah,
fifth day or the 100th day. But those are symptoms that are telling you, your body telling you like, this isn't good. Like if you're just breathing in oxygen, your lungs don't feel like that. You start vaping, they feel like that. So that's just telling your body, telling you, listen to your signs. Your body's telling you. And also, I heard
yeah.
people speak of vapes as they're calling robot dicks. Like, hey, these are robot dicks. So every time you're sucking on it, you're sucking on a robot dick. So think of you're sucking on a
Uh,
robot dick every time, and that's what you're
use
doing,
that
right?
as a tool.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
anyhow, there's also weed. Like a lot of people say that, oh, weed is good for you. Weed isn't bad for you. Nobody has ever died from weed, but there is obviously a lot of medicinal marijuana properties. Like, it lowers stress. Like some people have a lot of stress at work, they come home, they hit a weed or whatever, and they feel better, or they eat some weed. So maybe consuming it by eating it is a lot better than smoking it, because your lungs only
yeah,
need um eat oxygen. And like you smoked, I smoked, we smoked out of pipes, and we would, when we run out of weed, we would have a bunch of resin in our pipe and we'd scrape it out, and we just have a huge ball of black resin, and that's what's going in
yeah,
your lungs. Like
yeah,
if you've never smoked a cigarette in your life and you smoked just weed, and you went and looked at your lungs, let's say 5 years, 10 years after, they don't look like a healthy lung. They look
yeah,
really bad. And so I think it's a complete crock of shit that it's not bad for you at all. It's totally good for you, and nobody's ever died, because I think you can still get lung cancer from it. And obviously,
yeah,
like you're getting tar in your lungs. That's for a fact. And like I've smoked one time, I used to smoke heavily. And I remember one of my ex-girlfriends, she would be like, dude, you were wheezing all night long. Like, I feel like something's wrong. You need to stop smoking weed. So it's like, why am I wheezing? Like, I don't wheeze when I just sit there and smoke, just inhale oxygen all day. So
yeah,
yes, there is some beneficial things in it. Maybe you should just eat it instead of smoke it. Like maybe that's better. I'm not sure what the health effects of eating it is, but I know it gets your heart rate up. And that's not good. It's not good, just good to have your elevated heart rate, right? At all
yeah,
times. So a lot of people thinks there's just a misconception that, oh, this is good for you. You can never die from it. And like they say, like, is it a something like you never died from weed because you're dying from other things first? Like, are you dying from the
could be.
cigarettes? Like most people, like they'll smoke cigarettes and weed and be like, well, nobody's ever died from weed. I died from the cigarettes. Well, maybe it's a
Yeah,
combination of both, and you're just not blaming it on one thing, in your mind. But it's definitely not good for you,
yeah,
especially with the tar.
yeah, exactly. Maybe in small, moderate, smoking once a month or something like that, maybe that, is fine. But I don't know. I don't know anyone who just smokes once a month or every once in a while. Like everyone that I know that smokes, they're smoking daily. Like that's how it is for me too. If I did want to start, like I know my fiance would be like, why don't you just smoke like once a month or once a week or something like that? I'm like, because I know if I have it, I'm gonna smoke it. Like
Yep.
I and I'll start off like my habits, like, all right, I'll just do it on the weekend. And then sooner or later, it's like now it's every night before I go
Yeah.
to bed. And then now it's all day, every day. And then I eventually get to that point. And yeah, even with like you said with the pipes and stuff, you'd have all that resin, that black stuff. Like you got to think that just because you can't go inside your body and see your lungs, you don't know how they look. But eventually they're probably going to look just like that pipe. You're going to have all that tar and the black stuff just building up over time. And obviously, your lungs are moving, they're expanding. It might be harder to get that same effect as a pipe, but I probably guarantee it if you do it long enough, they will be very similar.
Yeah, definitely. And yeah, so there's a lot of misunderstanding of what is good for you and what's not. That's another thing that Americans get wrong. And the best thing to do is just not smoke at all. Not
Yeah.
smoke and probably not drink, maybe here and there, whatever, not too much, don't overindulge, and just live a healthy lifestyle. That's probably the best thing. But if you are going to do it, just don't do it that much. And the thing is, you do build up tolerance sometimes, like especially with weed. Like you hit one hit of weed and you're high, and then 5 months down the line, you need like 20 hits in order to stay high. You're like, I don't even feel high. So you build up a tolerance as that too. So that's another reason to just limit it to as little as possible as well, because now you're spending money on it and all this other stuff.
Yeah, just got to figure out a different way to manage your stress. If it's meditation or working
Mhm.
out or going for a run, like figure out something that's going to benefit you that, and that you could get your stress out as well at the same time. Hit the punching
Yes.
bag, whatever, figure something out.
Yeah, that's an important point that you put out there, because we're talking about what they're getting wrong. Yes, what can you do? Yes, hit the punching bag, get out that stress after work, go out there, and that's exercise, and do
Yeah.
some breath work. Breath work is so great because if you literally lay down and just breathe in deep, breathe out like 3 or 4 times, and just maybe take 5-10 minutes of your day, or even if you're coming
Hello.
home. Yeah, even if you're coming home and you pull into that driveway, but before going in, after a long stressful day of work, before going in with the kids, before going in with the crazy husband and wife or whatever, sit in the car for 5 minutes or sit down the street where they can't see you, and like, okay, you just got out of traffic, you're done, and just sit there and just lay back in your car and relax and
Yeah.
do some. These are more healthier options that you could do. And then instead of
Yeah.
obviously getting the alcohol, like the wine or something a day, try different things that will help your body out. But yeah, these are different things that you could do to help relieve the stress so you don't need this stuff. Meditation and breath work really help out a lot.
Yeah, I've actually heard people too, where people actually make it a thing if they've had a long, stressful day at work, they'll park before they go in. They realize like not to bring the problems into the family because your family, they don't know what you've gone through. They have their own problems, their own stresses throughout the day. So people will just sit and just kind of, like you said, do a few deep breaths and just realize like all the problems that I had, all the stresses that I had at work, all the customers I had to deal with, like my family didn't do that to me. So to leave all that stress here with me in the car, and when I go in, like just be cool, calm, and relaxed. And I think that could be beneficial, especially if you're someone who has a high stress job. You want to come home and yell at your family, why don't you do this? Why is this? Why are the dishes there? Or, you know what I mean? Just start snapping at your family when they don't know what kind of day you've had. And
Yep.
in those ways, it could be beneficial to just do some simple breathing.
Yeah, Brendan Burchard, High Performing Habits book. I watched him live one time, and he said that in his book. That's what I got most from it, is that same
Okay.
exact thing you're saying. He's saying, like, basically, like, yeah, like if you had an 8 hour day at work and you come home, your family or the people around you or your friends or whatever, they don't know about your day. They have no
Yeah.
clue of what made you mad or what ticked you off that day. So take that 5-10 minutes to relax, reboot, and be like, okay, this is the next situation I'm going into life. These people
Yeah.
know nothing about what's going on. So let's go in there and be like, understanding of that, and go in there and be like, hey, what are you doing? Because they have their own day that they might be stressed out on and have things too. So if both of you understand that, then you guys won't come at each other, and then I would eliminate a lot of fights and problems. And then you could just go from there, and you could, vent and talk about it a little bit, but don't take it out on them. But yeah,
Yeah.
that's a good thing. Take 5-10 minutes between like work to traffic to your home. Like just take 5 minutes in between of all stressful situations and reboot, kind of a thing.
Yeah, even if you didn't have a long day, like being in traffic for an hour trying to get home could make you stressed out to where you just want to be all snappy. So
Yes, a very
take
important
the
part
time and do the
points.
breathing.
Okay, so the fourth thing now is that Americans get wrong about health is not understanding preventative care. So one thing that they think is, they don't they undervalue routine screenings, right? They don't think that they're at risk. They think like, oh, I don't feel anything. I'm good, or like, so that's one thing. So they don't go on screening, which I am a victim of this. I'm 40 years old and I still haven't got screened yet. So
Yeah,
I need to
me
do
too.
this. And this is one thing. I'm an American and we get this wrong. We're doing a lot of work on our health. And this is something people do. And for me personally, the reason why I never did it is because I was always drinking and smoking and living a horrible life, like not horrible life, but horrible diet and all this stuff. And I would just think like,
Horrible
well,
life.
when I go in there, they're gonna tell me all my shit's off. And I always would say like, well, I already know what they're gonna tell me. They're gonna tell me stop drinking, stop smoking, start eating good. That's it. They're gonna tell me that. I don't have nothing wrong with me. I don't feel anything wrong. And then that's
Yeah.
not right. Like they would tell me that, but then at least I would have the awareness that, okay, your blood levels off, your blood work is off, your blood pressure's up, or you're going to get diabetes by eating like this. But they might have threw me on prescription pills, going back to the other point, which I'm glad I didn't, because it is hard to trust some of these pharmaceuticals and doctors. So that's all. But a lot of it is just fear. Like, like nothing's more scary than the truth, right?
Yeah, exactly. Honestly, I think that's what happened to my dad. And it's probably common with all of us. Like, we don't want to know the problem exists because then we're confronted with it. It's like better to put your head in the sand and just pretend that, my dad would always grab his side and kind of I could tell it was like painful, but every once in a while he would just grab his side. But he never went to the doctors to figure out what was going on. Like he probably should have. If the doctor had said your freaking liver is telling you to stop, but you just keep drinking and you're making it even worse. So that to me seems like a common problem people could have is like I'd rather not know the problem's there so I don't have to deal with it. But eventually if the problem becomes bad enough, like you're not gonna be able to avoid it. Like you're gonna be in so much pain that you're gonna have to deal with it regardless. So those types of things are better to catch early on too. It's better to catch them early because then you can actually do some things to reverse it. But if you wait until things are bad enough, then you need surgery, then you need the prescription drugs, and some of
Or you
the
might be
things you
dying.
might not even be able to reverse. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? It's like you've done too much damage and like sorry, but you got 6 months to live.
Yeah. And then like there's also the tough guy syndrome. I know as being guys, they're like, oh, I'm like, I got pain, but like it's just pain. I'll get through it. Like I'm too tough. Like I ain't no bitch. I ain't gonna go in there and have like these doctors tell me something's wrong with me. I'm fine. I've always been fine. I pushed through everything. Like that's
Yeah.
another issue that people do. And even right now, like I have a little, he's talking about side pain. Like I have a little bit of side pain right here, but it's like I'm feeling like it's kind of radiating from back pain. Like I definitely got a lot of back pain, right? I went to the chiropractor
Yeah.
once already, cost thousands of dollars. And I have lower back pain. So then it's like higher upper back pain, like in my upper back right here. And it kind of radiates towards the front a little bit. And like I was just thinking, like, man, it's like I need to go to the chiropractor again. Like, why not? That's preventative care. And even my roommate, she's really about health a lot too. She says that, if you just keep putting it off, putting it off, putting it off, it's going to cost you a lot more money in the long run. Something worse could happen. So it's better to go get those massages and go get the chiropractor work, even though it costs money, like to just keep your stuff in tuned. And so
Yeah.
it eventually doesn't lead down to like you're saying, a worse problem. So that's what I need to do. I need to go to the chiropractor soon here, but I also need to go get my blood work and I need to get some screenings. I obviously when you turn around 50, they say you need to get your colon looked at, and we smoked, so we should probably get our lungs looked at. And
Yeah.
just what's your internal organs look like? What is your blood work gives you a lot of information, which I haven't done. So we're health over everything. We have made incredible strides in our lives. We stopped smoking, we stopped drinking, we started eating well now, we lost weight. You and I were overweight, and now we got to get to the next level and get our blood work done, get our screenings done. And I got to get my back looked at and just get that routine work and just things that we need to do. And this is something we get wrong because some people just think they're not at risk. They're like, oh, I'm just not at risk, like there's nothing wrong with me. But once you
Yeah.
start feeling those pains, like that's your body will give you signs, right? Like your body, that's what it does. It doesn't want to die. Your body's trying to live. And so it's telling you, it gives you the signs like, hey, something's wrong here. Go fix it. And if you just ignore it, it could lead to a horrible result.
Yeah, exactly. I'm thinking one thing that comes to mind when you're saying you have your back pain is that maybe look into like something you could do at home. Look into doing like yoga or just some stretching in general, just to kind of become more limber. I know when you have muscles that are just tight, they don't allow you to like bend over as freely as you could. Obviously, if that muscle was more stretched out, it was more limber. So maybe even start incorporating something like that. Like I
I
did
got
start
rec-
stretching for a little bit, but I kind of gave it up. It's like, some of those habits are hard to make stick, but
I got
I think as
recommended
we get
twice on Twitter yoga yesterday when I was,
yoga,
yeah.
yeah, just to help stretch you out and like just to make sure everything's flexible. And especially as we get older, there's a guy at work saying, he's like, oh, I thought I was young, I went and I was running with some kids, and he was like, I was beating him at first, but then all of a sudden, I got like a pain in my leg. And he's like, I freaking pulled my hamstring. he's all
Yeah.
he's all limping around. He's like, as you get older, like you're not as limber as you used to be. So if you don't stretch and do things like that, then you're just going to tighten up. You don't want to be all stiff like I'm
Yeah.
trying
So
to think.
that's,
There's like a quote that's like, it's the bamboo that doesn't break because it kind of bends with everything, but the stick that is too stiff, you hit it, it snaps.
yeah, it's a great point. And like preventative care could be things like yoga, obviously going to the gym, getting your core strengthened for back problems, because 80% of people have back problems in their lifetime. So, like get fit, lose all that extra weight, strengthen your core, like strengthen your glutes, your hamstrings, your stomach, like, and also do some back workouts and like yoga, stretching. And I do stretching before I go to the gym, but I do need to like incorporate some yoga. And they actually have yoga classes at my gym for free. Just you got to
No,
just sign up
nice.
to them. So I got to do that. I know my roommate does that here and there. But yeah, there's a lot of people preventative care, and a lot of preventative care just means getting on a nice nutritional diet, like doing some yoga and stretches. Stop drinking, like stop smoking. These are preventative too. Like don't do this. Like
Yes.
meditate, get your stress levels down, sleeping well, like go to sleep. These are all preventative cares as well, as long as also with getting screened, getting your blood work done, getting your routine checkups as well, which we still need to get on. But there's a lot
Yeah.
of different ways of preventative care to make sure that you're running good, and because nobody likes pain, and pain is just the body's way of telling you something wrong.
Yeah, exactly. It's kind of ties into everything that we've already been talking about, like having your nutrition dialed in, getting your exercise in. Those could be thought of as preventative care because the healthier you are, the more fit you are, just the more well-being you're going to have in general. Like
Yeah.
that's just how it works. And those things aren't necessarily easy to do. You just kind of, I was actually thinking about this morning. It's like, it's almost like a cold plunge. Like those are the things you don't want to do. It's like no amount of thinking is going to get you to want to do those things. It's just something you have to say, I'm going to do it and just do it. Like that's it. You don't have any questions. We're not here to debate if we're going to exercise today or not. You have to build it into like your mind that this is what we do and we're going to do it. Like it doesn't matter how I feel. It doesn't matter if I'm tired. It doesn't matter if I have to go cook or do whatever, pick up my son. Like do all that, but no matter what happens, we are still going to exercise and make that a part of your lifestyle. And it's going to help you with the preventative care. It's going to help you just feel good in general. And it's like one of the must things I think you got to do if you're, serious about your health and your well being.
Yeah. So definitely today, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put on YouTube on my TV back here and do a little bit of yoga for the first time. Try it out, because I never tried it out. Just do a beginner's course and like go
Yeah.
from there, because my back definitely hurts, and it's like my upper back right here on the back. And it's kind of like there's it's called, I think it's radiating pain, not radiating, or referral pain or whatever, where it's like, okay, your back hurts and it shoots to a different part, like your nerves and stuff. So it's like, yeah, I'm having a lot of problems with my back. And also it's like posture too. A lot of people are on their phones and on computers all day, sitting, like you're sitting down and you're all that weight just pressing on your backbone.
All slumped over.
Yeah. Or you're like, yeah, you're looking at your phone with your head down like that. So you're like, obviously that's going to put strain on your back. And obviously my job of construction, I've bent over for 25 years. That definitely has something to do with my back problems, because we worked a
Yeah.
long day yesterday. Sometimes I'm thinking like, is it my internal organs? Like what's wrong? Like, and it sucks because it's like, man, I'm doing all this health stuff. And like, I had a friend that says, "Oh, when you start getting healthy, is that it shocks your body, and that's when the health problems come in because you shock your body," which isn't true, I don't think. But I think it gives you more awareness of what's going on because now you're totally, um, focused in and zoned in on what's your body's feeling like. So
Yeah.
like it's like, oh man, it's like, is it my organs or something? But then I also think too, it's like, well, I just went to work yesterday, and I haven't been working as much, and we worked a long, hard day yesterday, and now my back hurts more than it usually does. So I'm like, well, it's probably that, and I can kind of feel it's the muscles, but still, I gotta get this preventative care, especially now since we've been healthy, getting healthier. Like now, I could go to the doctor and I can't say like, well, I know what they're gonna say: stop drinking, stop smoking, start eating better, because I'm already doing all those three things. So now it's like, now I'm just thinking in my head, I'm like, oh, now I'm not doing it long enough because I want my metabolic health to be even better before I go to the the health provider, But I'm like, there we
Yeah.
go, and they're making another excuse. I just need to go. And a lot of things too is the cost. Like healthcare is definitely a lot of money. I know I spent a couple $1,000s on the chiropractor. Like so, like people think like, well, if I do go and there's something wrong, well, that's going to cost me $10,000, $20,000. What if I need surgery or something? It's going to cost me $100,000, and I don't have that money, and my family don't have that money. I would rather just battle through it, and if I die, I die. Some people think that, and
Yeah.
this is a lot of thing like, but that's not the right outlook on it because your family needs you. Like so, if you do spend the money and get healthy, then you can make money for a longer period of time and maybe a couple more decades, and also those experience that you could share with your family as well.
Yeah. Yep. Definitely. I think another thing we have on our list is people rather get a treatment than prevention.
Oh yeah.
So I think that's also true as well, that it's kind of like everything we've been saying. It's just harder to do the prevention stuff because that's the stuff that requires the lifestyle change. Like
Mm-hmm.
I want to go in and just get a pill from the doctor and take it and just keep living my same life, doing everything the same exact way and just be healthy. And that's just a road for disaster too. It's like then
Yeah.
you're dependent upon the pill, you're dependent, you need to go see the doctor when you run out, and that costs money for that pill. And eventually the pill is going to have a wear and tear in your body. Like your liver is going to have to process that pill, whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
And you're going to have your organs start to go out eventually because you're putting your internal organs through more stress and more filtering and all that stuff than it normally would be when you could just make the lifestyle change. Like everything's going to boil down to the basic, to the root, to the fundamentals. Like get your nutrition good, get your exercise, your fitness regimen going. Like I feel like we just keep saying the same stuff over and over, but that's
But we
really
got to
all
be.
it boils down
That's
to
what it is.
is you got to get like the fundamentals down, because without that, like you're going to run into problems eventually.
Yeah, and then like the treatment over prevention, it's like, oh, people just say like, well, I'll just fix it when it happens. Like, oh, if I'm gonna have diabetes, then I'll just stop eating sugar. It's like, okay, I'm gonna just stop smoking when. Okay, so you're gonna stop smoking once you get on a breathing machine, and when you have to carry around an oxygen tank around, because the people do that. Well, I know a nurse that she's a respiratory therapist, and she says there's people in her hospital with a oxygen machine,
Still
and they're
smoking,
and they're
probably.
fighting her to go smoke a cigarette. Like what is what kind of addiction does it take to get to that point and to do that? Like you're literally almost dead. You're on a breathing machine and you're still out there saying, I need a cigarette. Like, and you're fighting someone over it. Like that's crazy. So it's better just to get it as
That's
soon as
wild.
possible before you get to these points, even if you're young.
Yeah, it makes me think of like, dude, it really is like addiction is a bitch, because like once you get caught in your ways, it's like, man, it's like that it's the smoking that got you to that point. Yet you still want to go smoke. You're hooked up to that damn oxygen machine, and you probably need breathing treatments and all this other stuff. Yet you still want to go back to the very thing that caused you to be in this position. Like that to me is it's kind of unbelievable that someone could be like that, but
Yeah.
it happens.
That's why we say when you're 20, you might be hard headed and say, I don't need this, old man, but fix your habits now, because they become habits that are unconquerable sometimes when you get later on in life. And that
Like
brings
those
us to,
videos have those people smoking through their throat.
they need more of those kind of things to show people. But so number 5, our last point here of why people get things wrong is quick fixes, right? People want the quick
Yeah.
fix, which kind of like ties into all the other things we've been saying with the prescription pills and the stuff like that. They don't want the preventive care, but like the number one quick fix is take a pill. Like that's what everyone's thing is. Like so easy just to swallow a pill and be like, oh, I'm fixed. But then you have all the side effects. But there's other things too, like fad diets and tummy wraps. And what other things could you think of that people do as like quick fixes?
Um, Dude, the tummy wraps used to irritate me because there was a, it was years ago. I don't feel like they're big anymore, but when they came out, it was like people were trying to sell them and like, oh, look at what was it called? Like it was something with the wraps. I can't remember the company, but there's
Lap
friends
band.
trying to push it and like, oh, look at I've done it. I've lost all this weight. I'm like you're not losing fat. I'm like, nothing's gonna suck the fat out of your body. If anything, like it's sucking the water out of your tummy, but you're not actually losing weight by wrapping your damn stomach. Like, and yeah,
Yeah.
it's not gonna target, people would have like the before and after. The only thing that I could think of, like I said, like it's sucking the water out of you. So if you needed like a
Mhm.
quick fix, like, oh, I'm gonna get married, I'll do this for a little bit before the wedding, you don't have enough time to lose the weight, like maybe something like that, but it's not going to work long time. You're not going to be wrapping your damn stomach every day or however long you have to do it. It's just yeah, they used to irritate me. People just thinking
Yeah.
like,
I
oh,
think it was
I'm
called
just
the
gonna
lap
wrap.
band, right? The lap band.
No, I think the lap bands and that's an actual like surgical procedure, right? Where
I'm
they
not
like
sure.
put I think that's where they put a band around your stomach so you
Oh,
feel
okay.
full, so you don't eat as much. Like
Yeah.
that could
That's
work
kind of,
too because like now you feel like your stomach's smaller, so like, oh, all right, well now I feel full, so I'm not going to eat as much as I normally
so the
would
tummy
without
wrap
it.
is, what is the tummy wrap? Just something you put around your stomach?
Yeah, it looked like saran wrap or something, and you rub some sort of like gel on your stomach, and then you wrap your stomach,
Oh,
and it
okay.
was supposed to help you lose weight. I'm like, what? That doesn't even make sense. But there were so many people pushing in and like, oh my God, I lost so much weight from doing this. Like, it used to drive me nuts seeing that shit.
Yeah. Or those people that just put those bands around their stomach and be like, oh, I'm sweating all day. Like I'm losing weight. I'm like, no, you got to stop eating as much. You got to get in a calorie deficit and you got to start doing sit-ups. Like you're not going to just put a band over your stuff and like sweat more around your stomach and be like, oh, I'm losing weight. Like that's not the core way of fixing your stomach fat.
Yeah. I know people used to have this is another misconception that's not on the list, that you can like spot reduce fat. Like, oh,
Oh,
I
yep.
just want to lose fat in my thighs and in my stomach, but and nowhere else. Like, that's not
Yeah.
how it works. You can't just do a bunch of sit-ups and lose weight only in your stomach. It doesn't work like that.
Yeah.
Like, you have to overall just lose your whole body fat percentages, and
Hmm.
people are going to hold weight in different areas. Some people might hold it in their face more, some people might be their legs or their stomach. You have to lose the body fat percentage, and it's going to fall off wherever it falls off for you. We're all very different people, so whatever works for me, it might not work for you. But the main thing is to get the body fat percentage down, and eventually once you get low enough, the muscles that you have are going to pop, and if you don't have the muscles there, you need to make the muscles. So
Yep.
that's another
Yeah.
thing. Like if you don't have abs, you're not going to be able to see your abs once you cut down. Like you're just going to be flat. So you got to build muscle as well to make everything look good. So when the body
Yeah.
fat is low,
Yeah, exactly. You can't spot reduce fat. Yeah, like I've
yeah,
lost 50 pounds and yes, I got fat off my face, off my arms, off my legs, maybe and off my stomach as well, but I can't just get 50 pounds off my stomach and keep it on my face and on my arms, like it just overall, if you lose 1 pound of body fat, you're losing a little bit on every part of your body, you're not losing it all in
yeah,
one spot. But also
exactly.
another quick fix that people have is the fad diets, which is funny because like I'll post my food all the time on social media, and they'll be like, well, what kind of are you on a keto diet? And I'm like, what, a keto, what is it? I don't do these fad diets. I don't know what you're talking about. Keto diet, what is that? Or they're like, there's a Mediterranean diet, like, and then like I'm like, no, I'm just eating nice whole foods, eating less than I'm burning per day, and just trying to eat better. I'm not sitting there like, what is like if keto diet, I guess, is what, just not eating bread. So like, okay,
Yeah,
like if I want to eat a piece of bread, I'll eat a piece of bread. Like if I don't have enough calories for that day, and let's say I'm 700 calories under, and I have nothing else to eat besides a piece of bread and some peanut butter on it, like I'll eat that, like whatever. Like maybe it's not the best thing or whatever, but I'm not on some strict weird fad diet, because then you're like, well, I can't eat this because it's this is all I have in the house, or and then now you're just hungry, you know, like you still got to keep your macros in order and watch your calories in and calories out. But also it's like these fad diets are just fads. Like we're doing a lifestyle. This is our lifestyle. This is how we live now.
Yeah.
We eat healthy every day. It's not a fad diet. So it's not like a little quick fix. Like, oh, I'm going to get on this paleo diet and for 3 weeks and I'm going to be skinny. No, you need to have
Yeah.
something that's sustainable over time.
Yeah, and that's another thing. I've had people ask me too. It's like, oh, what diet do you think is the best? Do you think the keto diet is, will that work for me? And the answer I give people, and I think it's something that a lot of people don't want to hear, is whatever diet that you could be consistent with, that's going to give you the results. Because there's no point in me telling you to do a diet that you can't do. If you
Yeah,
end up resorting back to your old ways, like then it's not going to work for you. So if you can do keto and cut out all the breads, and if that helps you stay in a deficit, that's what's going to work for you. If you want to eat only meat, I wouldn't go that route, but that might work for you in the short term. But anything that you can sustain long term is what is going to be best for you, because
exactly.
consistency, I've been saying that all day too. Like, you
Yep.
need to be consistent. So there is no point of me telling you to do something that you're not going to do, because that's not going to change anything. It's like, find something that works for you, stick with it, do it for at least 3 months. And if you don't like it, do something else after that. But just don't fall back into your old habits, your old over indulging. And we all have different lifestyle changes. So whatever got you fat, stop doing those things.
Yeah, it's a trial and error too. Like, try
Yeah.
something and see if it's working and see if you could sustain it. And if it doesn't, then try something else. I tried many different things and now I'm on a pretty steady diet where I could eat a lot of food and I'm also in a calorie deficit. And it's basically just cooking at home, steak, chicken, or fish. And then I'll just have fruits and vegetables throughout the day. And like I'll eat my steak and a potato and I'm like, I need something sweet. So I'll go eat some strawberries or something, and that helps me with that. So I finally figured out something that was really sustainable and it's been working. And I've been losing about a pound a week and still losing a
Nice.
pound a week. And so it's pretty good. But yeah, just trial and error as well.
Yeah, for the people hearing this, if you don't know, this guy looks like a completely different person he posted a picture recently on social media where it looks like the fatter version ate the little version of it. It's such like a
Looks like I was
drastic
pregnant.
change. Yeah, it's crazy how much this guy's body has changed, and super proud of you for doing all that. That's
Yeah.
freaking shows your hard work, your dedication, kind of shows your mindset and your discipline. Freaking happy for you, brother.
Thank you so much. And I also heard a quote that says that too. Your body is a manifestation of your mind. So if your
Yeah.
mind is sitting there thinking like, I'm going to be healthy, and like if you have a nice healthy body and you're actually like doing that, like all the good stuff, that's because your mind is the word it comes from. Like you know that you're dedicated, you know that you're consistent, and if you're overweight and you look like and you don't take care of yourself and you're grooming as well, like how you look and your clothes and all that stuff, and you're like, you could tell your mindset, it's like you could tell someone's mindset by their body. And not to say that everyone that is skinny is healthy, because there's a lot of people with other issues of not eating too much, um like stuff like that, throwing up and all this other things. But
Yeah.
there's a lot of different issues that people have. Not just, a lot of people are overweight, but there are some people that are underweight as well. But there's also, with the quick fixes, go back to that. I remember growing up, there was a drug called Fin, right? And that was supposed to be a
Okay.
weight loss diet. And that's what people would do. Like it was like a pill or something. But what it had in was methamphetamines. It had methamphetamines in the pill. So basically it was like a speed, pretty much meth. And even my mom took it, right? And she was losing weight, but it was methamphetamines. And they actually banned the pill because it had methamphetamines, because people were taking it, extracting the methamphetamine and making actual meth out of it.
Oh, damn.
And so these are just quick fixes. Instead of just doing a nice healthy diet, they just like, oh, I'll take this pill. And it kind of reminds me of today. There's a new pill on the market. I think it's called opinthazine or something like that. Have you heard of that?
No, not necessarily.
Oh, it was trending on Twitter or X a couple weeks ago. But it's a new pill that's out there that people are taking.
Oh,
And
I think I did hear about that. It's for like diabetics, but people, like, a side effect is weight loss. I think it's
yeah,
something like that. Yeah.
yeah. Oh, I don't know if I got the word right. It's like opimphazine or omethazine. I forgot what it's called. But this
I
pill,
think I remember seeing that.
Yeah, and then people were it was trending, but they were saying that like a lot of people are losing a lot of weight on it, but it's actually taking the weight from your muscle mass. It's taking like it eats away at your muscle mass and not
Mhm.
your fat. So you're losing weight, but you're losing muscle mass. So older people, because I don't know if you've all heard this, but older people have a lot of problems with falling, right? Because you if you don't have enough muscle mass, this is why in your 40s and stuff like that, you need to start working on your muscle mass at least to keep it toned. Because when you turn in your 60s and stuff, you get frail and you fall. A lot of people fall and they break a hip, and then that's when they get into these core morbidities and they end up dying from the not being able to move because of the fall they took because they didn't have muscle mass. So people that are in 60s or something are taking this pill and it's eating away at their muscle mass, and then now they're going to be prone to falls, which can lead to injury, and then sedentary lifestyle, which will eventually lead to their own demise. So this like these quick fixes aren't really the way, and that's what people get wrong. Like, oh, maybe I should take this fin, maybe I should take this omeprazine or whatever it's called, like, or a lap band, or these stomach wraps and stuff like that. And no, like, lifestyle will always be number one. We'll preach it over and over again in this podcast over and over again, because that's the number one thing: lifestyle, diet, healthiness, going to the gym, getting your mood right, your mental health. All this stuff is definitely all intertwined as one thing and overall health, right?
Yeah, for sure. I think more recently, like the number one thing that I think has helped with my mental health is being exercise and eating good and just pushing myself. The cold plunge, I think, got me into all of that. But once I started working out and eating good, like, my mental health, I feel like, has never been in a better place because I just
Mhm.
feel good about myself. Like, I have
Yeah.
more energy. I'm pushing myself when I do my workouts. So I think that an aspect of that just makes me feel good about myself, just knowing that I'm doing the things that I should be doing. When I was sitting around on my couch scrolling through social media, not doing anything, I think that is why I felt bad, because I wasn't doing anything, especially, like, nobody is stopping me from working out except for me. No one's
Yep.
stopping me from going into the kitchen and making myself a nice, healthy meal except for me. So it's those little things that I think wear and tear on your mental. Like, if you don't do the things you're supposed to do, like, you're probably not going to feel the best. But once you start doing those things, like, you just feel good about yourself.
Yeah, and it's like a revolving door or something like that. I don't know how to describe it, but the mental health helps the physical health helps the mental health. Like, if your body feels good, your mind feels good, because now your body isn't feeling bad and sending signals to your mind. And then if your mind feels good, then you're more likely to do the good stuff for your body. So it's like they're a team, and like that's why it helps out a lot well with that. And yeah, so it's like the whole package, right? The whole package of health is mental health and all that together, like getting sunlight, like getting sleep, like all the stuff that we preach over and over again.
Yeah. Be selfish with your health a little bit, because that's one thing that nobody else is really going to be able to help you out with. Like, no one's going to be able to drag me out of bed, take me to the gym, make me work out. Like, I have to be the one that picks up that weight.
Yeah.
And with your health journey, you are going to be the one that has to pick yourself up, and that's the hard part. But the good part is no one is stopping you except for yourself.
And like I say, if you're unhealthy, you got yourself into that position, unless you're a child, because they say like children that are obese and unhealthy, pretty much 80-90% chance that they're going to be unhealthy and overweight into their adult years. So it's kind of like we're saying the child abuse earlier. Like, you got to make sure you treat your kids right and give them the healthy stuff. Yes, they're going to cry and whine because they want the bad stuff for them, and maybe here and there you can teach them, what do you call it, like just a little bit at a time. Like, you could have it here and there, but don't let them overindulge where they're eating a whole thing of ice cream in one night at like 11 o'clock at PM. Like, you got to teach your kids good habits, because but other than that, it's you that got yourself into this bad weight, and it's only going to be you to get yourself out of it. Like you're saying, nobody can go to the gym, nobody can eat well for you. Well, nobody's feeding you as an adult these bad things. Like, they're not forcing you to go to the ice cream parlor and eating a big old thing of ice cream, or going to McDonald's every day and eating McDonald's. You got to make that decision. Like, I'm not going to McDonald's. I'm going to go eat a fish, salmon at my house, and cook it, and some broccoli or something. So you got yourself into it. You got to get yourself out of it.
Yep. Exactly. And just try to, since you brought up fish, it made me thinking, like, because I was only really eating like eggs, chicken and turkey, and I'm like, maybe that's not enough, like a well-rounded nutritional basis. So I started looking into it. I'm like, I'm gonna start eating more fish.
Yeah.
So because I saw you eating fish, I'm like, I started kind of digging into it. So now I have more fish. I'm probably gonna start eating fish maybe 2 to 3 times a week just to make sure that I'm covering all the vitamins, all the minerals, getting nutrition from as many different things as I can,
Yes.
just to keep the machine running good. Like I want to be healthy, I want to feel good, and that's the stuff you have to do. It's not
That's yeah.
exciting and it's not really fun to do all of it, but it's necessary.
And that goes back to the good to number two, the fats. Like there's healthy fats, like omega oils that are in fish are good for your heart, and that's a
Yep.
good fat, right? And yeah, and I do that too. I balance it with a bunch of different stuff. I try to like go to Sprouts, a farmer's market, and try to get as many different things. I'm getting beet juice. I'm getting like some carrots. Some like just different stuff. I'm like, oh, I haven't had carrots in a while. That has something that broccoli doesn't have, like, and just try different stuff. And like, let me get some spinach. Let me get some kale this time, like, and let me get some broccoli. Let me get some, I said broccoli. Let me get some garlic, let me put some of that on there. Let me get some bell peppers, just different stuff. So I know I'm getting all different nutrients from different stuff. But that's going to lead us into this ending of this podcast. But we're also going to have a little bonus thing of what people said on social media, because I asked social media what they thought Americans got wrong about health. And I got 7 different answers, and we're just going to go through them, kind of a lightning round kind of thing. You
All
ready?
right. Yep.
So the first one, someone said that diet is the primary solution over action. People fail to realize that our biggest deficiency is activity. We are far more sedentary than we are designed to be, and try to alleviate lack of action with diet only. And most fail because of that.
Yeah, to me that 100% makes sense. Like having nutrition, especially if you're trying to be like physically optimal, is only going to take you so far. You need the exercise aspect of it. And plus, like having more muscle is going to allow you to eat more food. You're going to be burning more calories at all times just by having more muscle. So it's going to allow you to eat the more nutritious foods. You're going to be able to eat more of it.
Yes, and like the second, another person said the second one was sedentary lifestyle, which goes with that one. What these two people are saying is that yes, you can eat a diet and you can be well, but you also got to go out, walk. Like most people can walk. Like even if you're way overweight, try to go walk around the block. But if you're a little bit healthier, run, hike, like go to the gym, do some physical activities, like go run around with your kid, go go play some baseball with them or something. Like get out there and live life. Like it's not like life isn't about just being in the house. Like we are people, and people are meant ever since day one to be able to be roamers, and they roamed around and hunted and stuff. So move around, and that's just more like we're saying, the complete package of health. That's part of it. Yes, diet is number one. Like it is definitely very like a lot of it, but we are not sedentary people, and just sitting there all day long is not good for anything in your organs or your bodies or your muscles, right? So get moving.
Yeah, or your mind.
Yeah, or your mind. So number 2 was, which is kind of one I was always had a fear of since I had high blood pressure, was fear of having too much salt, someone said. And we learned a little bit about that last weekend. There's different kinds of salts, right?
Yeah, that's something that I really didn't look too much into as well because I've never really had problems with my blood pressure, so I've never really had to look at my sodium intake. But yeah, my fiance's brother was telling us about was it Celtic salt?
Yeah, Celtic salt,
And
that's what it's called.
apparently it has like just different properties than like the table salt, which is apparently bad for you. So I can't go into the science behind it, but yeah, I think it's
Yeah,
absorbed your body difference and it pulls different nutrients into your body. And it's
iodine. He said
supposed to
something about
be,
iodine.
yeah, but it was supposed to be healthier for you. Like I said, I haven't looked too much into it, but yeah, you
I
do
think,
need a certain amount of salt in your diet. You just can't cut all the salt out. Your
yeah.
body needs that mineral, electrolytes, all that stuff.
Well, like I think what it was is like the table salt is bad because it's just like refined sugar. They refine all the minerals out of it, so it's just
Mm,
basically iodine salt. And so like table salt, what you buy at the grocery store, isn't as good for you. And the Celtic salt has, like he said, 98 minerals in it that your body needs. and it absorbs the water and keeps you more hydrated. So he said it was kind of hard to get, but kind of look into Celtic salt. But there's also sea salts and stuff. It's kind of the same thing, but they have minerals in them. And the table salt, they refine them where it has no minerals. So that's the problem. And obviously, having too much salt, in my opinion, is bad for people with high blood pressure, obviously. But maybe it's just table salt. I haven't really experienced it. And I follow a doctor online. Doctor, I forgot his name, but he always talks about having salt. So that's like a big topic of thing. But you need it for hydration. Like if you're going to be out hiking and running around and exercising a lot and working in the sun like I do, you're going to need salt for hydration because you could have a heat stroke or something like that. So but just make sure you're getting like your salt intake, but also getting the good salts, the Celtic salts, the sea salts, not the table salt. That's what I think is bad for you. But I still need to we need to do more research on that, and especially since I had high blood pressure and lowering it right now. But lowering my salt intake, especially in the processed foods, that's when it's really bad. And that's like, so like, yes, you can have salt, but have the good salt and don't have processed foods. Like anything at Subway, anything at McDonald's or anything is going to be high in refined table salts. And that's just not good. They say like you need 2,500 milligrams per salt per day. If you have high blood pressure, under 1,500, 1,300. But who knows what the real science about that. But I think the main thing is don't eat salty foods, don't eat packaged foods, don't eat frozen foods, and don't eat fast foods, because those are the ones high or extremely high in salt.
Okay.
Another one that we have here is this one. I didn't know if it was a joke or what it was, but she said that unrefined sugar is like maple syrup. So that's the unrefined sugar is like maple syrup. So that's something, or honey. Coconut sugar is better than white sugar. Added sugar is added sugar. And that's all she said. So I'm thinking that she's just going with like basically same thing like with the salt. The refined sugar is bad, but there's sugar in things like maple syrup, honey, or fruits that are better for you, a lot better for you. Like you're not gonna say like I'm not gonna eat no sugar, but you want fruits. So I think that's what she's trying to say.
Yeah, just to keep your sugar intake from naturally occurring things, not a candy bar. Stick more with like apples, grapes, just any kind of fruit, pretty much.
Yeah, and they have other nutrients in it like potassium and stuff like that counterbalance the sugar as well. So it kind of like the sugar might raise your blood level, sugar levels, but the potassium and stuff will lower it. So it kind of like it balances out a little bit there. And I had people tell me things like, oh, you should eat a banana, it has a lot of sugar in it. I'm like, but they're overweight and like extremely overweight. And I'm just like, okay, well, look at what are you eating that has sugar? A banana? Like don't eat candy bars and all that stuff. So just be wary about, Americans do have that wrong in opinions about fruits and vegetables. Like, I'm not going to eat fruits because it has sugar in it, but they'll go pound sodas and candy and chocolate, so. And another one that said just McDonald's. That's all it said. It's like, what do Americans have wrong about health? McDonald's. Don't go to McDonald's, people. Stop it.
Yeah. I actually knew a guy that he was eating McDonald's pretty much like breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And I think health-wise, I think his health started taking it because he was relatively young, probably in his early 30s. But he started losing his hair, his fingernails stopped like growing, the pigment in his skin has started to become like blotchy. But he literally wouldn't. I've never seen him eat like a home cooked meal. It was like breakfast, stop at McDonald's, lunch, go get some sort of fast food, and then dinner, he'd be at my cousin's house and go get McDonald's. And I was like, most of his meals are just fast food. And I don't know why we were younger too, so maybe that's a reason why we never really thought about it. But like, you should have started to look into his nutrition. I don't know if he ever went to the doctors for it, but you can't just be eating like crap and
some people might say
healthy. Like,
some people might say like, oh, I'm just getting the healthier options and it's not just McDonald's, all these fast food, Jack in the Box, Burger King. I'm just getting healthier options there. There's still no healthier options there. Just don't eat there. Just don't go. Even the salads, like they get the dressings and stuff and fill it with stuff, or they have like, you're getting a salad at Jack in the Box with crispy chicken on top of it. Oh, that crispy chicken is cooked with seed oils and fat and it's just not good. Just rather just go home and make your own salad, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So we got a couple more here. The last one was that drinking milk is good for you. So this guy says that one of the things that people get wrong is that milk is good for you. And I know we used to have the ads saying like it does the body good, which I hear that raw milk is good for you. I don't know, like we're the only species that drinks milk after you're a baby, and we drink in other animals' milk. But
Yeah,
I know a lot of
I've heard that argument.
the normal milk that you get at the grocery store has hormones and all that stuff in it. So I'm not too educated on what milks, because I don't really even drink milk. I used to drink milk all the time. Like I drink so much milk, just the regular milk. But I do hear like raw milk, and obviously there's different kinds of milk, like almond milk and all that other stuff. But I'm thinking they're talking about regular milk with the hormones in it isn't good for you as people think, which is probably true.
Yeah, it kind of like what you said when I've heard the theories that go against drinking milk. That's the first thing that popped into my mind is like a cow milk is meant for cows. It's not meant for humans. I'm like, we're the only ones drinking the milk from another species or and expecting it to be good for you. It's like, maybe you should drink human breast milk. I don't know. I think that there might be something to that. I think I've heard of something like that, like pro athletes drinking breast milk from women for the protein or
Yeah.
something like that. I'm sure it exists if I've had the
Yeah.
thought.
We'll look into it. All this stuff. We're getting more educated for the podcast and for you guys. So we're going to learn more about this. But this one comes from a special guy, Prime Son, your nephew. Shout out Prime Son.
Nice.
But he says one thing for sure is people assume because they aren't overweight that they are healthy. So basically
Mm.
saying that just because you're skinny doesn't mean you're healthy, which is, even though I lost a lot of weight, my blood pressure is still high at times. And that's one thing. But also people could be bulimic. People could, like you're saying, like we could just eat hot Cheetos all day and be in a calorie deficit and be severely nutrients lacking. Or you could be skinny and have extremes amount of stress, like stress is a killer, and you could be unhealthy with stress. Like you could have a heart attack from that too. So
Yeah.
I think that just goes around along well with just like the overall health. Like, yes, you can get your diet even on point and be skinny, but you also have to get your blood work done. You have to get your screenings. You have to get your mental health good. You have to, get your stress levels down, sleep well. Like you could be skinny and not sleep well and have a lot of issues. So, the Health Over Everything podcast here, like it's about a wide range of healthy things. It's not just diet. So it's like you got to get an optimal elite health. It goes with everything. Go hang out with your friends here and there, have a good time, get laughing. Like lots of things with health instead of just nutrients. And I think that's what he's talking about there.
Yep, too. Kind of piggyback off of what you say too. I think your mental health is a very important role in it too, because if you are depressed, like you're not necessarily going to want to feel like doing anything. Like you're probably going to want to stay in your room and freaking have that bucket of ice cream and just watch Netflix and sit there and just be sad for yourself. So it all ties in together. It's like, but I
Yep.
think a big part of it too is making sure your mental health is good. And like you said, the revolving door, like the feedback loop is like the more you focus on your physical health, the more your mental health is going to feel better, and it starts to kind of feed off of each other. And eventually, you get into a place where you're feeling good and you look good, and you have a bunch of energy, and it all just kind of ties in together, helping you be overall just more of a happy, more well taken care of. Well,
Yeah. One more point on that too. It's like, yeah, if you eat really bad and stuff, you could die of these diseases, and that's not healthy. But if you're really skinny and stuff, your mental health is messed up. You could commit suicide. You're dead anyways. So either way, you could die. So mental health and physical health are both in general like great things to like work on. You got to work on both. And the last
yeah,
one is treating symptoms and thinking they are healed versus root causes. And we talked about that a lot in the podcast, which is true, right? Obviously, we talked about it. Like a lot of people want to treat the symptoms instead of the root causes. And that's the
yeah.
thing.
Yep, you got to get back to the basics, kind of get connected with yourself,
Yep.
Feel what you're physically doing, feel what you're physically eating. Like you need to get those in check.
Yep. So that's the end of the podcast. That's five things Americans get wrong about health. Hope you guys got a lot of value out of that podcast, because I think we dropped a lot of nuggets and a lot of value for the viewers. And if you got a lot of value from that, make sure that you like, subscribe, share with a friend that needs some of these tips and tricks, and shout us out on your social medias. Everything helps. So we're trying to build this up to try to help as many people as possible, right? And
Exactly.
you could even go to our website socalgula.com too, to buy a shirt to help support us or whatever. But other than that, Yeah, it's like that's been a great podcast. Steven, how do you feel about this one?
Pretty good, pretty good. Makes me just kind of want to look into other sorts of information to just give more information to the viewer. Hopefully, some of the information we gave you was valuable, but that's pretty much what we want to do. We want to help the people that want the help, that don't necessarily have the information at hand, and kind of just help them through our lifestyle experiences and just to help everyone become a better version of themselves.
Yep. And we're not doctors, we're not nutritionists or nothing like that. This is all the stuff that we're like hearing, we're going through in our own lives, we're experiencing, and like we're just learning along the way in real time with you guys, and just trying to
Hmm.
share what we're learning with you guys from actual doctors and from actual like people that are nutritionists and healthy people. And like we're trying to get as healthy as we possibly can in all different ways. So like you want to take advice from and knowledge from people that are doing it, and not other than the people that are not doing it, like your coworker that's overweight or something like that. So we're just trying to share as much and trying to help as much and give value as much as we can. That's what we're doing it all for. And yeah, so that's pretty much it for this podcast. And we are also on number 10, double digits now. This is our 10th podcast.
Oh, nice.
Yes, sir. All right, guys. Well, I guess that's it. I'm SoCal Gula. I'll see you on the next one. And this
Yep.
is
Stephen Z signing out. Have a good day, everyone. Thanks for tuning in and stopping by.
all right. Bye.